Welcome. If you don't know me, my name is Ruth-Ellen and I am one of the coaches here at Exceptional Individuals. I will be facilitating this conversation for neurodivergent strengths. One of the things I like to talk about when we first get in this space is there's no transformation from information without implementation. That's NTFIW. Just because I want to be in this space fully showing up, I'm going to share with you some of my disclaimer, basically. I'm dyslexic, and I've got co-occurrent ADHD and autistic traits, which basically means I can speak at a rapid pace, but I've learned over the years to slow down, pause and pace. Also could mean that my words might slur because of my dyspraxia, and that is something that is much more around me being able to articulate and pronounce words. But I believe labels are for jars and not for people. The way I'm showing up today is how I'm showing up, regardless of the way I identify. And for those who are visually impaired, I'm a Black woman with Black hair. It's very important for you to recognize that actually we're in this space because we want to be seen and heard. That's how I feel seen, heard, and valued. What about you? What helps you in terms of what helps you to fully show up? I say that I need that compassion from you all. What do you need to be seen, heard, and valued? So far, we have 4 responses. We've got agreements that will help you be seen, heard, and valued is patience, the opportunity to get involved, kindness, clarity, listening, support, clear guidance and instructions, fair timings. All of those things help you to feel seen, heard, and valued. Advise people about your autism or wearing an autism awareness card on a sunflower lanyard. Openness, listening to others and respecting each other. These are just a few of the ways. We've got empathy. Completely get that are there with you. Interaction, understanding the environment, and this environment should accompany all of these things, right? Because that's how we all feel seen, heard, and valued. Transparency, absolutely. Okay. Validation. All these things are great things, right? 19 responses from 14 of you that have responded so far. These things help individuals in this space to feel seen, heard, and valued. So they're going to get the most out and show up fully. Changing to support me based on things I have shared. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. You can add to this. Let's move on. Thank you all for sharing. Going to go to the next slide. The reason why I asked you to share that is because I shared with you my disclaimer, but I also want this to be a judgment-free zone. I want you to be open to the ideas of others, even though we're all neurodivergent. In this space, there's an element where we still have differences of opinions, and that's okay because we've all had different lived experiences. And so this is about being inclusive as well. If we can't do it here, how can we expect that to do it? Thank you for that. Imagine this session is over. You've already gone through the whole neurodivergent strengths. What would you have taken away? What would you have gained that you don't currently have at the moment? What's your expectations here? What do you want to know that you don't currently know? Really important here to state what we're trying to achieve and our intention so that we can ensure we get what we want out of our time spent. Time is valuable, right? We've got 2 so far. How to find appropriate jobs to apply for. Finding an inclusive employer is going to be next week. That's going to be much more applicable for you. But in terms of when you do find that inclusive employer, you're going to want to be able to share some of the strengths that you have. How to apply my strengths to a career path. How can you tell a potential employer actually understands neurodivergent needs and isn't just giving it lip service? Confidence in own strengths. Where can I utilize my strengths best as I've stuck in a role for 10 years? It was so frustrating to turn up daily. How to show for my strengths. How to make employees understand that my meticulous nature is a positive thing. A better understanding of my strengths and how they might fit into work. New ideas, information, strategies, able to help and support others. Okay. And support other neurodivergent staff in our organization. Mixed bag of people, which is great in terms of mixed bag of the intentions here. But definitely this one's focused on neurodivergent strengths. If you are looking for work or how to transition into a different career path, we have got some great training sessions coming up for you, which will definitely be applicable. There are sessions that you can also book in for, which are much more around helping your colleagues who are on your, these are my strengths, and this is how I showcase them. Find appropriate support, unique skills I have, and how to develop and use these. Okay, great. Fantastic. Great that we've got these 12 responses so far, and do keep on adding to them. But ultimately, just to set the expectations in the bar, we are focusing on strengths here. But we're going to give some information, strategies to help and support you maybe help another person identify their strengths as well in a very clear way. Just to again manage those expectations, how to pinpoint your neurodivergent strengths. And if you are here for a colleague and wanting to be an ally, that's really good. I'm going to still give you some tools that would help you to help that colleague to pinpoint their strengths. How to authentically showcase strengths with confidence and the ways to amplify what you've learned today. Again, I want to make sure that your time is of value. I'm just going to make sure that we get through it. Before we dive into this. Why is it important to factor in intersectionality when you're talking about neurodivergent strengths? If you're not clear on what is, just give you that quick heads up. It's that interconnected nature of social categories about race, class, sexuality, gender. Why is it important to factor it in when we're talking about strengths? Very differences within divergence and how that could look. Yeah, to avoid stereotypes, absolutely. One person might be seen as assertive, while another person might be seen as aggressive. They're the same thing, but depending on the race that you might be talking about, one person might be labeled one rather than the other. Take into account an array of perspectives. Absolutely. We are all very different individuals, and it's okay to be unique and different. It's also about appreciating that difference. Yep, different strengths, impact on each other, and help us understand the complete picture. Absolutely. Everyone is an individual, and their own profile will be different than others despite sharing diagnosis. Yes, our strengths will be completely different as well. To understand the best approach. Yes, just keep this intersectionality piece at the back of your mind when you're thinking about the strengths, right? What you're thinking might be really super simple and easy for you as a gift, might be still a challenge, even if a person has a similar diagnosis. Thank you for that. Moving on to this. Before we go deep, we want to know where we're at. On a scale of 1 to 5, I'm aware of my strengths. I have ideas on how to be how to authentically showcase them. Where do you sit? Because we want to know if this is going to help you go from what number you are at to the end of this. Changing that, even by a little percentage, is still important. Take a note of that number, write it down somewhere, what number you gave yourself when you took this quick reflective check-in. I'm aware of my strengths and I have ideas on how to authentically showcase them. Write down those numbers on a piece of paper so that you can remember where you was at. After we finish this, you know where you have transformed. We're doing this based on averages. Majority of people are saying they're at 3.1 out of 5 when it comes to awareness of strengths, and the rest of the people are on 2 when it says I have ideas on how to authentically showcase them. That's great. There's room for improvement is what I'm seeing. Let's talk about that. When you are asked, what are your strengths? What words come to mind? Let's just put it out there. All the strengths that you have heard about being neurodivergent yourself or other people that are neurodivergent, what words come up as strengths? Let's just put it all out here so that you can see them. You see the vast array. No judgment, just bring it all out onto the page. Okay, we've got creativity, we've got honesty, we've got kind, we've got self-reflection, we've got driven, we've got loyalty, patience, attention to detail, we have analytical, we have detail-orientated, we've got the perfectionist, the fast talker, the forensic analysis, methodical, focused. We've got a whole bunch of things. Supportive. What else? Authentic, empathetic, fast learner, passionate. Literally, we asked in seconds. You got 43 strengths here. That's a lot of strengths. Just think, let that sink in. All of these strengths as neurodivergent individuals. You can go on for a while, right? You've got 45, which is fantastic. There are a vast array of strengths of a person who, if you needed a reminding, because you was thinking, I don't remember all of these, here they are. Thank you for that. The reason why we're then talking about pinpoint neurodivergent strengths is because even though we shared quite a lot, I wanted to share with you a framework that might be a bit easier to articulate strengths. Because even though those words are great, in the grand scheme of things, when we talk about content and context of situations, we need to know how to actually share those strengths. If you say those words, they almost become meaningless. The ACE card is probably one of the best analogies I can think of, because the ACE card in a deck of cards is the most important. It can change the game, make you lead ahead. When you think of the ACE card, it's a memorable card. I just want you for the rest of this session to think of yourself as a memorable individual, an individual that has massive strengths, that thinks of themselves as high. The ACE card is such an important reference point for us to think about when we're thinking about our strengths. Without the ACE in a deck of cards, the game isn't played. Without your strengths, without you being here, showing up, a workplace isn't the same. You bring a unique perspective that no one else can. Those 46 responses plus showcase that with ease. But I want to show you an ACE framework so that you can do that even more powerfully. Let's go. ACE thinking is basically a way to look at things differently. I want you to answer me what you think ACE thinking can do. I'm going to also share with you what ACE stands for. It's an acronym. ACE thinking is derived from an NLP term, which is neuro-linguistic programming. It's all about interrupting patterns. Giving you a little bit of a hint there of what ACE thinking can do. Once you've got the response, then we can reveal the art. If you haven't guessed it already, the 12 people that have responded, ACE thinking can do all these things. They can shift your perspective, it can disrupt autopilot modes, and it can expose hidden patterns. I'm going to break down how ACE thinking works through a series of questions. That's part of the work that we do at Exceptional Individuals. We do the coaching piece, and sometimes that includes questions. These are some of the things that we're going to be asking, because as a neurodivergent individual, you might find yourself forgetting about your strengths in the workplace due to factors like conforming through masking, excessively trying to overcome challenges. I've got to be good at this. I'm going to be good at this. I've got to learn how to do this, right? Focusing on your weaknesses rather than focusing on your strengths. You might be feeling the impact of negative feedback as well. People only focusing on what you can't do and giving you feedback that isn't conducive. You also might be dealing with societal preferences for neurotypical traits, as in, why can't you do this? Because everyone else can, quote unquote, which might make you feel like you're in an element of shame. We're using ACE thinking because we want to ensure all of that isn't relevant to you, so that you do remember your strengths, all the things that you talked about initially. This is about moving away from this and more into who you really are. Let's get into it. The first question for ACE, and there's loads of questions, by the way, and I've broken down ACE into the first part, which is awareness. If your strengths were, what colors would they be? How does this color analogy reflect your personality and approach to work? I know it's a twofold question, but it's important that you answer this in a way, because again, we're shifting your perspective, asking you questions in a different way so that you can take anything that's hidden. If your strengths were, pick a color, what would they be? How does this analogy reflect your personality and approach to work? Have a think. First part of ACE is awareness. Bright colors. We've got maybe the yellows, the reds, the blues, right? It helps this individual see a point of difference from what is around them. Green, always doing too much. How can you reframe that? If it's green, I am always delivering, always adding value. Yellow to represent brightness, blue to represent inspiration, and purple to represent relaxation. Amazing. Not one single color, that's fine. Colors, go for it. It can be more than one color. So I think you can be all the colors of the rainbow. Fantastic. What does that look like? What does that represent in terms of your personality? We've got purple to stand out. Yes, absolutely. Take up space. We've got green, orange, yellow, blue, empathetic, kind, thoughtful, analytical, methodological, hardworking, right? Great. If you're still thinking of it, don't overthink this. Just pick a color. How does that represent you? Yellow and bright colors trying to help out. Amazing. Fantastic. Remember, this is about your strengths, right? The ACE is all about your strengths. The ACE on awareness means that one of the things is you are a person that's a help. Write it down. One of the things is you shine when you're in your element. Bright yellow. Blue, loyal, analytical, and have specialist knowledge of our brand. Great. And rainbow means in wide ranging. Fantastic. What else? Come on. You can choose any color you want. From that color, you can pick out how that represents you. Changes depend on the task and memory, that day-to-day purpose and focus and engaged. Fantastic. Again, we're all multifaceted. We change all the time. At times I can be focused and engaged, which is amazing. Gray, black, brown with a pop of green and purple represent how I feel, my family, how I've seen. Violet represents blue, I feel calm. Blue, loyal. There's great things coming out of this, right? It's only because we just chose color. Awareness, please. Orange, authentic, take different approaches. Again, write all of these things down because this is part of the ACE of the strengths that you bring. Would you be able to just get it out like that? And some of these words I hear wasn't on the 47 responses. Also think about it like that. Blue, calm. Fantastic. That's the first question. There's loads of questions within the awareness piece that I ask that helps. And we have some career coaches that will take you through coaching as well. Red, stress under pressure. I change in my emotional state. Red, stress under pressure means that might be a signal to others, right? In terms of when you are in a state of awareness, you're going to show colleagues that you're in the red. So maybe not to necessarily give you space. Okay, great. We can go on with all the colors, but now the reason why, again, I chose colors is because it associates strengths with colors. You're thinking of it as introspection. It's making it easy to identify your strengths when you think of it as a color. Empathy is one of the things that was up there on that list. We're talking about the unique strengths, right? We're talking about competencies, the second piece in ACE. Empathy can be demonstrated for different ways. One of the things I want you to consider is a time when your deep empathy enabled you to understand others' perspectives and build relationships. Consider that. Could have been any job that you've had. Then I want you to think about how this exceptional empathetic capacity enhanced your ability to collaborate or lead. how it helped you. Could be in any scenario, long-ranging career. How did that empathy help with the capacity to collaborate or lead? Seeing when someone is struggling and offering support. And I know my colleague was upset. My kind approach to taking her to one side, outside of speaking through it, allowed her the space to release her emotions. We're still fast friends. Taking a different approach that was more suited to colleagues' needs. Knowing what people are likely to ask meant I was able to create an FAQ page at launch rather than being reactive later down the line. Great. Able to create useful training materials that are methodical. I understand others will need clear instructions too. Again, this is the strength around competency. If you ever say, oh, I'm really good at being empathetic because, and then you give these examples, it again helps for you to remember your strengths. Could see through someone who's acting out. You could emphasize, understand the best approach. You can do other things that are helpful to, again, collaboration. Collaboration is an important piece of building a team and getting things done. Having this skill, this strength specifically, and then demonstrating it through experiences is important. I'm going to share with you a 3-step that will help you bring all the A's together. But for now, we looked at awareness. Now we looked at competency. And this is just one question out of many. Just say I had a friend call for advice in the ears, another mutual friend or a half survived for divorce. That's happened. Giving somebody space so they can take up space and hold in space. So important. Oh, at Vendy, people minded always helps build relationships. I don't need to disclose. My empathy can be felt. Fantastic. Then we've got finding out about some of my colleagues who also have autism or traits and being able to relate to them and also enjoy working with like-minded people. Okay, fantastic. Again, it's a strength you bring. You're able to showcase that by actually sharing experience, which then helps you to cultivate a really good working relationship. Thank you for sharing that. Last thing, effective. You've got awareness. We have competency. And the third thing is effective. How can you be more effective? Imagine you have a hero alter ego at work. What powers and strengths define your alter ego? How could you use these in the workplace? We've got different alter egos that people utilize in different industries. For example, Beyonce's alter ego is called Sasha Fierce. Perhaps you're more of the inclination of a Marvel superhero and you can relate to them a bit more. For example, like Spider-Man, or maybe you're much like a DC and you're more like a Batman. But either way, which powers, strength, Wonder Woman, Black Widow, which of these are present in you and help you at work? Fantastic. If you've got energy, you use your energy to encourage people. Just being present, right? Fantastic. Any other? Good memory by memorizing what presented and what blog posts were written. Great. So that good memory is helpful because it stops you from repeating work, helps you to be able to capture information really easily and share it. Okay. You're a superhero. You've got an alter ego. What are some of the powers that you possess that helps others work? You've got speed, analysis, and memory. Fantastic. Trying to bring people together, collaborate, support each other. Almost like the Avengers. Brave, always with a bow and arrow to fight for ND, not afraid to shout out. Fantastic. Use my justice awareness to build others and encourage them in fair situations. Hate injustices to vulnerable. Fantastic. So you've got the passion there, right? You bring your passion to solve the challenges. Thanks, April. Music is a really good thing to help us feel much more seen and grounded. Sometimes other people can articulate and express themselves in a much more powerful way. So yes, cutting through the fluff and be able to pick out facts in a situation. Fantastic. It's a great power. That alter ego at work is helpful because it gets to bounce off things. I'm like Hawkeye, good team player, enhance other people's powers and get straight to the point. Fantastic. Asking for clarity and when others are too anxious, context is king. Absolutely. We've gone through ACE and we've looked at the different things and I like that as well. The reason why I chose the superhero piece, and I know it's worn out and everyone talks about it, but actually it's that self-efficacy. It's about you recognizing the immense power you have so that you can have a sense of agency like a superhero and take action. There's a reason behind all of this as well. There's a 3-step framework to this, right? When you are sharing, and this could be anything from a workplace needs assessment conversation that you're having, or when you are talking about your strengths to other colleagues, or even just in an interview, you want to be able to state your strengths, but not just state it, not just say I'm creative. You want to also have that example of when you have used the strength and how, which we've done, right? We looked at strengths, just stating them. We looked at the examples. And then you want to say how that has impacted others, you or the work. That 3-step framework is really important because it gives us context. It doesn't just give information that you've got no idea what to do with, and the person that's listening has got no idea what to do with. They don't know where to put you. It's more like actually told you my strength, give you an example, and now you can use that information and make an informed decision on what's next. That's how you would do it. Specifically, maybe more for interviews, but either way, we have got how to find an inclusive employee coming up next week. So this will be a really important piece. I'm just going to go to the comments. Quite efficient and think outside the box. I don't have an alter ego, but would have a saw to cut through rubbish. Great. People love to the point. I've told you about the awareness piece, competency piece, and the effectiveness piece. And the ACE. Told you why ACE is important, signifies quite a lot. But what are the barriers for you actually being aware, using your competency in the workplace and being effective? And these barriers could literally be intrinsic, things about yourself, or extrinsic, things about maybe employers or situations. What would you say the barriers are to implementing some of this stuff? Right? 'Cause we want to be real, right? You've now got ACE, you've now understand the framework. What's stopping you from using it? We've got the fast pace of work. We've got stereotypes, we've got toxic environments, we've got myself, we've got bullying, we've got may not consider weaknesses to work on or acknowledge. We've got prejudice, we've got imagined or otherwise, we've got busy, noisy working environment, we've got confidence, distractions, noise, people wanting to be social, bad work experiences. We've got a series of these trainings so that we're going to counteract some of this in terms of the inclusive employee next week. Sometimes the strength is the other side of a coin to weakness, the wrong environment, and you only see one side. We've also got syndrome, got lack of understanding of neurodiversity. We have game playing, work politics, lack of faith from co-workers, managers to refuse to understand, and anxiety to looking stupid. All of these are genuinely lived experiences, things that you've had to have experienced, right? Grievance process is not being followed, right? You might have policies in place, but are they being followed? All of that. Even though I'm aware, I'm competent, I'm effective, I can't always do all those things because of all of these factors. We've got to really be aware that these things are very real. Seniors only value profit and work done yesterday, anxiety to looking stupid, all of these things. We have got things around stress management and other areas as well. Being seen as extra work to colleagues, all of those things. Thank you so much for all sharing those. Mental health, 22 responses. Thank you. These are valid. These are things that have happened to us and things that are still happening and things that might not happen in the next workplace, but could. And we've just got to be raw about them as well. This is why I wanted to go to part 2, which is all about authentically showcasing your strengths of confidence. When you have those things, it's not going to be covering everything, but it just helps us to still show up as ourselves. However, before we get into the authentic piece, we need to talk about psychological safety at work, because that's essentially what we're talking about here. How can I feel like I'm going to be myself, implement ACE, if I don't feel safe? It's basically psychological safety. When you have the shared expectation that when I share, I won't be embarrassed, I won't be rejected, I won't be punished. I can take risks, I can give feedback without feeling like I'm going to be challenged for it. That's when you've got that sweet spot, right? We don't always have psychological safety at work. Sometimes we have it in pockets in certain areas of certain people, but it might not be everywhere. Essentially, we are looking for an organized space that gives us psychological safety. All of these things help us to still progress. Why would you not feel safe to be you as a neurodivergent employee? I know that we looked at that a bit, but if we're going to specifically look just as a neurodivergent individual, why would you not feel psychologically safe to be you? I'm not going to spend too long on this one because the previous question answered some of that. We carry shame. Yeah, there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of being misunderstood. Some of the traits can be seen as negative. Other people's ignorance, judgment, feeling uncomfortable, gaslighting from colleagues, yeah. Seen as weird, bullying, anxiety, the whole ignorance of you don't look autistic, which is really hurtful, right? Really ignorant. Interrupting. These are all about being safe as a neuro employee, feeling safe, that psychological safety piece. 21 responses so far, 22, that help us to see that actually, in order for us to be seen, heard, and valued in our workplaces, some of these things show up for us, which means we can't. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it. If you had the psychological safety and all of the things that you just stated wasn't true, it just wasn't a thing anymore. What does that authentic version of you show up looking like in the workplace? How would you show up differently? Brutal honesty. We have excitement, right? Time to do best work. Focus on the work. We have engaged. Yes, this engagement piece is a huge one, right? You don't feel psychologically safe to share, you're going to be disengaged. So it's great. Yeah. Having empathy for others. If you have psychological safety, you get to be authentic. You have the empathy, you're happy, you're confident, you've got the good memory, you're productive, no shame, highly valued, driven, all of these great things, right? You can just feel the shift from where we was to where we are. We're still talking about ACE here, right? Sharing your strengths. All of these strengths that you have are almost weightedly heavily on all the things that aren't available in the workplace sometimes. These things is what you chart to if you have the aligned workplace. Thank you, all of you, for sharing that. Really helpful, because you can see the difference, right? From where you are to where you want to be. Brave, happy, motivated. Yes. All of those things. Work remotely, passionate, the list goes on. A manager that listens. It's the simple things. You can tell if you've got a psychologically safe environment when you see people having all of this. Keep on sharing. Thank you for the 11 people that have shared. Appreciate it. In order for this to happen, and just again being real, give me one thing that would be included in your employee experience in order for you to be brave, happy, content, driven, focused. One thing. Because again, this goes back to that awareness piece. And oftentimes, one thing gets a little bit closer than none other things. Being left alone to do the work, right? Less fear of repercussions. You go back to this psychological safety. And the autonomy of being left alone, like you're trusted. Manager letting you be yourself, total freedom, treating everyone equally, being listened to, seniors listening and acting, encouragement, nurturing. These things, again, when we're talking about the strengths, we can't have strengths. We're not available to show our strengths if we don't have the psychological safety, which comes into what we're trying to do here, right? Being trusted, manage your openness, giving time to think, support, validation of my experiences, time to be listened to and understood without judgment or assumptions, frank conversations about my needs and being nurtured by my line manager. Yeah, like being able to have that access radar, being able to share it and it being accommodated, making changes and not belittling veteran experiences, giving real feedback, right? Yeah, like the ask method, like action-based, specific and kind, that feedback. Everyone having understood and supportive of individuals, the opportunity to share skills and knowledge, clear, concise communication. Yes, that employee experience sounds great. It sounds like a fantastic place to be. You can see again the difference make between where you are or where you might be and what good looks like. I know you said quite a few things, but I'm just going to round it up with these 3 things. I want you to rate this in order of importance: non-judgmental environment, transparent expectations, and accommodation of awareness. Knowing what your needs are, being aware of it. Or is it more, oh, I've got some expectations, but I haven't shared them. If I do, then it's more helpful for you. What is the most important? Rate this in the most order of importance for you. Because we have another block coming up, what we're going to do is share the highlights of the main thing. You've got non-judgmental environment, we've got accommodation awareness, transparent expectations. Non-judgmental environment, so important. Then we've got transparent expectations and accommodation of awareness, neck and neck. I'm gonna go on amplifying the learnings, right? I want to share with you some of the ways that you can demonstrate ACE today. They're very practical because we talked about awareness, competency, and effectiveness. We spoke about how you can put that into a framework when you are in scenarios and situations so that you can share not only what your strength is, but also the example of it and how it impacts the work that you do, whether that's yourself, others, or the company. We did that already, right? But how can you then take this and then put it into work? Training workshops. You can lead sessions on workshops or topics where you have expertise. We've stated that you've got a strength. It might be around the empathy piece that you've got. You've got a whole long list, right? For example, be it how to be empathetic to other individuals in the workplace. It could show ways to do that. It could literally be how to be detail orientated, how to be focused when there's lots of things competing for your attention, whatever it is, whatever your strength is, you can lead on that and showcase that to others. Because if you are able to share your expertise with others, that's when you're able to really transform their lives, right? Process. You might have a systematic way of thinking, right? Workflows. You've got ways to improve things, to improve efficiency. Share that strength. Share how you could improve that. Share it from a perspective of your strength, the competency you have, how effective you can be if you was able to do that. Then work with others, because at the same time, you have a strength, they have a strength as well. Connect the dots. They're going to miss things, you're going to miss things. Either way, it's great to collaborate. That helps you to be a team player. And that's where the empathy piece comes in as well. That's how you could demonstrate some of the ACE, like today, as in, I'm going to lead the workshop, I'm going to suggest this, I'm going to put in a process, whatever it is. You started off, you wrote down your awareness of your strengths. I think it was like a 3 as a collective. And then you said, I have ideas on how to authentically showcase them. It was at a 2. Right now, we've got it from averaging higher. The awareness of the strengths is there. We've got 4.4. Ideas on how to authentically showcase them. We've got 0.8, 7. So far, we've got 7 responses. We've nearly doubled the showcasing how to authentically showcase them. And in terms of the strengths, have gone from a 3 to a 4.3. It's changed. In order for it to be as accurate as possible, we need you to respond more. We've got 9 so far. Are you more aware of your strengths now than you was before? Do you have ideas on how to authentically showcase them? Whatever your answer was before, you've written it down, write your answer again and look, has it grown? Am I just more aware now of all the things people shared? Have I got a way that I can now showcase this because I've given examples? If you don't measure it, it's really hard to see progress. Progress helps us as human beings to recognize we have actually adapted, we've moved, we've evolved. We was at a 3, now we're at a 4. We was at a 2, now we're at 3.5. In terms of your next actions, how would you basically implement ACE, anything you've learned today in the next 7 days? We're going from where we are in 7 days' time. What would be the difference maker? You're going to showcase your ACE, your awareness, competency, and effectiveness within cover letters. You're also going to have more self-belief. You're also going to continue to develop resources for the team you work with. You're also going to have a think about and catalog strengths and how to use and showcase them at work. Fantastic. In the next 7 days, these are the things that you're going to be accountable for yourself. I guess when you come back next week, you're going to put all your strengths on a t-shirt. That's a good one. You're always going to remember it's all at the forefront of your mind. I think you should just do it. It's a good one to have. Make a list of strengths when I've demonstrated them. Amazing. When considering job applications, great. I like the one about written covering letters. If you can update your CV with some of the strengths that you are just showcasing today or have showcased, it also will help. Or put it in a document so you can refer to it later. Look out for your own strengths and talk about yourself positively. Yes. Remind yourself on how you demonstrated the strengths at work. Yes. Thinking about returning to work. Fantastic. Reframe thoughts of self. Find the strengths. Yes. Somebody said, if you are in a wrong environment for you, those strengths will look like weaknesses. Make sure that you reframe those thoughts, program them as those things that you might have learned and unlearn some of those that aren't helpful. Be honest about what you need and the way you approach work in a positive way. Remain positive and seek out your strengths. Great. In terms of what's next, and that could be neuro coaching, it could be a workplace needs assess. Each will then give you an opportunity to find out about those things and how we help support you in that area. But for now, thank you for joining our career training program, Exceptional Individuals, and we hope to see you next week.